I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Yes, I know I could probably use a haircut and a beard trim, but I've been away the last couple of weeks, had an enjoyable winter vacation. I flew in this morning, just got back into my office, and as expected, my mailbox was filled with the 2020 BC assessment notices here. So, like I do every year, I thought I'd throw my camera on here and do a quick video synopsis here and my take on this and where the values are and what's going on. First things first, if you go back and watch my old blogs on this around this time every year, I've done in great detail about how the assessed values relate to property taxes and the mill rate and all that good stuff. So feel free to go back into my archives for more details on how it relates to your property taxes. But this year, as expected, BC assessed values are way down, actually more than I thought. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm beginning to wonder, as are a number of people, if this isn't some sort of BC NDP ploy here to try and make it look like they're bringing the value of homes down and making things more affordable. When we all know, if you know anything about BC real estate and how these assessments work, they have very little correlation to the actual market price. As a matter of fact, BC assessments are generally pegged low, well below what market price is. They do that because they don't want to run on people protesting their assessed values because they all think it's tied in directly into their property tax. So they deliberately keep them a little bit on the conservative side. I would say for every 10 years, 8 years, homes will sell above, or in some cases well above, assessed value. And this year will be no exception. This year, I think, might be one of the biggest sale price correlated to tax assessed value I've ever seen. It will sell way above what tax assessed value is for 2020. Because I have sold last year, the vast majority of the homes I sold last year, condos, especially in townhomes, I sold above tax assessed value. In 2020, they're down another 10 or 14%. So this year, they're going to be selling way, way above what 2020 assessed values are. A few things I want to point out here. First off, BC tax assessed values are not all that accurate for a number of reasons. First off, they do not look at the interior of the home or the condo. They don't go into everybody's home. So in other words, you could have two 30-year-old condos, same floor, side by side, same square footage. One just had a $140,000 reno done to it, and the other one's original. Those are both going to be tax assessed at the exact same amount. Yet, if one were to sell, that reno unit would sell for $140,000 more. Same thing with location. Take it, for instance, two detached homes. One detached home, they're both the same size, built at the same time, same lot size. One, though, is at the end of a T street and has a feng shui issue. The other one is next door and does not have that issue. They both could be tax assessed at 1.5, but the house with the T street, with the feng shui problem, might sell for $100,000 or $150,000 less than his neighbor. They also don't take into consideration view corridors, location within the unit, within a building, etc. And then the final thing, of course, is they're stale. These were done as of July 1st, 2019. Lots can happen in the last 6 months. So keep in mind, they are generally just an estimate. But I want to point out here, from a personal point of view here, what I mean by that. My home here that I live in, my principal residence downtown in the West End, my tax assessed value is down 14% this year, and it was down 4% last year. Now, I did an extensive renovation to my home. Now, if I was in 2018, if I were to list my home, which I don't want to do, and I'm not going to do, but if I were, I would be listing it today at over $500,000 above what my 2020 assessed value is, and I would probably sell it very close to that. As a matter of fact, I look at the assessed values here in my unit, and I have not seen a unit in my building, unrenoed, low floor, sell anywhere near where this tax assessed value is. They've all sold way above that. So these tax assessed this year are especially low. My units in Crosstown and Gastown were the least hit. They're down about 6%. My wood frame stuff out in Richmond is down 7%. And surprisingly, my units in Mount Pleasant and Olympic Village are down 13%, which is pretty steep. I was surprised by that. I look at what the assessed value is on my current units there, and they're only 3 years old compared to what's sold in the last 2 or 3 months. And these assessed values are 60, 70,000, 80,000 below what taxed assessed value is. So these values this year are well below what the market value is going to be on these homes. And we'll see where it goes moving forward here. This 2020 market is shaping up to be pretty strong. Inventory is ultra low. Buyers are out there again. December sales were just up 80% month over month, or from last month, December. That marks the 6th month in a row for sales increases. Interest rates are low. This really could get out of hand here. I think you're going to see every condo and stratified property and even starter detached homes selling well above what the tax assessed value is. Matter of fact, last year, most of the starter homes I sold, including some Vancouver specials last year, I sold above assessed value. And that was 2019. I went in and took a quick look. They're down another 10 or 12% this year. So they're really going to be selling above that. Final thing I'll say on this, I'm in my office this morning having a cup of coffee, and it's hot water cooler talk. I've got a lot of guys in my office that are investors, and they got a stack of these too. You know, the consensus is here, and I'll let you guys be the judge of this, and feel free to comment on my YouTube blog here, but I saw the little press conference our housing minister, Selena Robinson, did the other day, and she was absolutely giddy about these 2020 assessed values, patting herself on the back saying, see, look how good, how effective our taxes have been in lowering and making homes more affordable for British Columbians. Our BC spec tax and the Vancouver empty homes tax and the school tax and the foreign buyers tax. You see, it's all working. The price of that Yaletown condo, 1 bedroom, went from $700 down to $645. So we're making homes more affordable for you, when of course they're not. These assessed values, again, have very little bearing on what the true market value is of these homes and what they're going to sell for on the MLS. If you don't believe me, keep track for yourself. Have a look at what gets sold here in January, and then take a quick look. Go to BC Assessment, just plug in the address and see where those sold compared to tax assessed. But yet, of course, it's just another NDP smoke and mirror thing. They don't have much to go on these days. Prices are starting to go back up again. These taxes have had very little effect, almost no effect on condos, and very little effect on the starter detached market. The only thing they've affected is the luxury market. But yet, they're out there touting that these taxes are working based off the BC assessed values. So I don't know. I think in my 30 plus years, these seem to be a little overdone on the drop. Not that I really care, and I don't, because they have little bearing on the market value. And it's not going to lower my property taxes. As people know, I've done many blogs on this. If your property tax or your assessment value goes down, it doesn't mean your property taxes are going to go down, unfortunately. City Hall has already announced an 8% property tax increase, and they're going to probably do a double-digit increase next year of 10%. All they do is, when values go down, all they do is bump up what's known as the mill rate, which is this magic formula that they use to come up with what they're going to need as far as dollar amounts to run the city of Vancouver or the city of Richmond or Burnaby. So property taxes never go down, and they're going to be going up dramatically here over the next 5 years, as we all know. But this year is going to be a real outlier. As I say, 8 out of every 10 years, most homes sell above assessed value. This year, especially, considering that they were already selling in 2018 above assessed value in most cases for condos. And with another 10 or 12% drop, it's going to be right out of whack. But that's what assessments do. They're vague, they're out of date, and they don't take into consideration the individual property and what they have. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, I'll see you next week. Happy New Year.